How's everybody?
Great.
Good. I'm Dr. Christian. I'm the Assistant Director. I'm the Assistant Director of Human Relations, DEI, for the City of Winston-Salem, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome you guys out tonight. Why are we here? We are here because we want to take the opportunity to hear from our young people about this issue of race and race relations and what they think that they can do and what we can do as a collective body to change things for the positive in the community. So again, on behalf of Ms. Wanda Allen Aberhai, our director, and the members of the Human Relations Commission, our department, and DEI, I want to say again, thank you guys for being here tonight. And lastly, let's thank our panelists for being here tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, and so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Fabi Williams from our school system.
I want to stand in front of everybody. So, good evening. Good evening. Awesome. So I bring greetings on behalf of Superintendent McManus, who usually is here, but she's actually out of state on district business. So I want to start by just saying a few words for you. Today we're gathered here to address the topic of immense significance, race relations amongst our youth. It's a conversation that demands our attention, empathy, and commitment. Our young generation is not only the future, but also the torchbearer of change in our society. As we look around, we see faces of various colors, backgrounds, and experiences. Our diversity is one of our greatest strengths, but it also presents us with challenges that cannot be ignored. Race relations among youth are pivotal, for it is during these formative years that perceptions are shaped, friendships are forged, and foundations of understanding are laid. The experiences our youth have today will profoundly impact the future of our society. It is crucial that we empower our young people with knowledge and skills to embrace diversity. We must encourage open, honest conversations about race, acknowledge the disparities that exist, and work collectively to eliminate them. Education is our most potent weapon against ignorance and prejudice. Let us ensure that our schools and communities foster an environment of inclusivity and respect. But it's not just what happens in the classroom, but what happens in our hearts and minds. Let us challenge ourselves to confront our biases and prejudice, and let us lead by example. Our youth are keen observers. They learn not only from what we say, but from what we do. To our young people, I say to you, you have the power to reshape the world. Embrace diversity as an opportunity for growth, understanding, and unity. Engage in conversations, make friends from different backgrounds, and let your actions speak louder than your words. The friendship you forge today can break down barriers and inspires others to do the same. In conclusion, our journey towards better race relations among youth is a collective one. It requires the efforts of parents, educators, community leaders, and most importantly, our young people. Let us work together not just for our generation, but for generations to come so that they inherit a world where unity, respect for all are the norm and not the expectation. Thank you for your commitment to this vital cause, and may our efforts today pave the way for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams. All right, so the next part of our program. By the way, my name is Erica Simon, and I am an outreach analyst for Human Relations, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the City of Winston-Salem. And I have the pleasure of working with our Youth Advisory Council, some of which those students are here today, and they're going to be serving as your moderators. And so we will go into that portion. I'm going to introduce the moderators, and then I'm going to let our panelists self-introduce. So what that means is you'll say your name, your school, and your grade level, okay? All right. So first we'll bring up our moderators. Miss Gufran Abd from Parkland Magnet High School. Yes. Jayla Page Thomas from the Middle College of Forsyth. And Austin Lovett of Parkland Magnet High School. Wait, I got you. All right, so what they're gonna do is they have a list of questions, and they're gonna ask 3 questions each. Each of you are gonna ask 3 questions to the panelists. And so now, panelists, if you could self-introduce yourself, and I'm gonna start down here and pass the mic back down this way, so that way we can hand it off to whichever one of you are starting.
Hello, I am Camille Worthy. I am from Parkland, and I am a senior.
Hello, my name is Carlacy White. I go to Parkland Magnet High School, and I am a sophomore.
Hi, my name is Ladiana Shaiti, and I'm a senior at Reagan.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle Crumpton, and I'm a senior at Reagan.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Guido Cruz, and I'm a junior at Middle College of Forsyth.
Hi, my name is Julian Gaia, and I'm a student at Middle College of Forsyth in 11th grade.
Hi, my name is David Boyd, and I'm from Walkertown. I'm a 12th grader.
Hi, my name is Jose Toscano, and I'm from Glenn High School, and I'm a 12th grader.
Hi, my name is Esli de la Cruz, and I'm from North Forsyth, and I'm a 12th grader.
I'm Anthony, and I go to Middle College, and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Melania Young. I attend Reynolds High School, and I'm a senior.
Hello, my name is Rakaya Davis. I go to Reynolds High School, and I'm a senior.
My name is Mio Rodriguez, and I go to Reynolds High School, and I'm a senior.
My name is Jonathan Mora. I go to Reynolds High School, and I'm a sophomore.
All right, awesome. There you are, sir.
All right, everyone. So for the first question we have is, when were you first aware of your race? So if anybody would like to go ahead and say something, get the ball rolling for us, you could pass the mic to them. Here, you get the mic, you can. So go ahead and reintroduce for anybody that didn't catch it the first time, and then.
So I'm Anthony. I go to Middle College, and I am a senior. Do I gotta answer your question?
Well, that's
okay. So I mean, I grew up with both black parents, but the only difference was my dad, he was an Afro-Latino, right? From Cuba. And basically, to be honest, I already knew I was black, but you know, growing up and everything, I would be around Spanish and English. So it would make me feel like I was isolated towards some of the the black kids, the Hispanic kids, and then they're talking about you're too black to be Hispanic, right? Or you are too Hispanic to be black, or whatever the case may be. But honestly, it makes you feel like you're in a specific box.
I'm Lenny Young. I go to Reynolds High School. I'm a senior, if y'all didn't catch that the first time. I knew my race, I want to say like a specific moment in 3rd grade. I was living at High Point, and I went to Union Hill, and I grew up like in the hood, but like the way my mom raised us, it was like she didn't want us to like carry ourselves as if we were from the hood or the projects or this, that, and the third. And so I went to, I was in school one day, and it was like a picture day experience, and I had my hair, like my natural hair out, because that's what my mom wanted at a young age. She didn't like all the fake hair and stuff. And one of the teachers had made a comment about my hair, and she like touched my hair, and she was like, your hair is so different, and it feels so different. And me being that young, I guess I like didn't take anything to it. I just was like, okay, like my hair different from everybody else's. But after the fact, I realized it wasn't really like a positive, your hair's different. It was more of like, oh, like, I mean, like, she was in my head, y'all. Like, she was doing her thing. You would have thought I was getting my hair done sitting right there with her. And I got home and I told my mom about it, and she was so upset. And at a young age, I didn't realize, and I guess that's when I started realizing what color I was, what was different from me, from my peers, or from the people around me, from the people in my classroom, because none of the children in the classroom noticed anything about my hair. We all was just, oh, you look so cute today. Oh, I like your bows, or I like this, or I like that. But to hear it from a teacher and being that young and not understanding it, it was just kind of like, oh, like, what's different about my hair that's not the same as everybody else's? But I've learned what's different about my hair, but I guess you could say that's when I, like, first realized, like, racism or anything like that, like, first became a topic in my mind.
Right.
I guess you could say that. Anybody else want to talk?
My name is Jose Toscano, and I'm from Glenn High School. And the first, like, specific moment I know when I realized my race was the first day of middle school. My mom used to always say, do not let anyone bully you for who you are and anything. And one sentence that sticked me out the most was, embrace your race and don't let anyone put you down because of how you look or what your race is.
My name's David Boyd. So basically, I'm black, and usually, you know, it's a stereotype. I like to read books and stuff. Like, I'm a little closet nerd and everything. One time I came, high school, freshman year, I came in there with a dictionary. I used to read the dictionary, and it was a stereotype, you know. You black, you supposed to, you know, play sports, you know, be athletic, sag your pants. I was like, nah, they call me whitewash. I was like, nah, I just want to read books, you know. I just want to be smart. That's really it, you know. So, but I do play sports.
Go ahead and hand it off. Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, if you want to add on to a point somebody makes, feel free to do so. Of course, try to keep it concise, you know, of course. But do be real in what you say. But if no one else wants to, we can go on to the next question. Anybody have something to add? Down here.
So when I realized about my race, it was when I just got here from Mexico. Because, like, when I got here, I didn't know any English. So in my school, it was in Jacksonville, and they failed me because I didn't know English. And that was when I realized, like, what's the difference just because I didn't know English. And so, yeah, that was because when I was in Mexico, I thought, like, everything over here was gonna be good, like, you know, like, all good because they were all races over here, but it was different than what I thought.
I think I started to realize like what my race was in like probably elementary school, cause that's when I went to like a predominantly white school. So you see, like some of us have curly hair, you know, we got like, and so I started seeing all these other girls that had like straight hair, they had that thin hair. So like at one point I was like telling my mom, you know, I want to go get a perm, like permanently, you know, get my hair straight and like all that type of stuff. And I was like seeing how they would dress, like I wanted to fit into that category, cause I was like, I'm like one of the only Hispanics here, and like the other Hispanics would always like dress like them. So I was like, I feel like I'm not fitting in. Let me try to fit in. So I started changing the way I did stuff. But then you see, like it was also the food. Like, you know, we got different food, and like my mom would pack me lunch sometimes, and I would be like, I would take it, but then I would be like, oh no, mom, like I ain't get time to finish my food, cause I was too embarrassed to, you know, like eat in front of the white kids that had like their sandwiches and stuff. So you see, thinking back to it, it's like I should be proud of my food because it be hitting. It be hitting so tight. So like anybody out there that's still embarrassed to pull out their food from wherever they from, like just pull that out, because we all know like we all got different like spices in our food, you know. It's like we should be proud of that and like not be ashamed of like eating different stuff.
All right, thank you. Anybody else before we move on to the next one? Oh, all right.
What are race relations like on your high school campus?
For my high school, I feel like my school is a very diverse school. We have everybody from every race, and like my school, they have a lot of school spirit. So it's like you have different races that get together and like celebrate together as a school. Like we have teams that are like predominantly one race, but they support other teams that are like different races. So I think a lot of the times we feel included, and our school is very welcoming because like most of our staff members, they understand that it's not about what they look like, it's about the inside and what they go through, because treating somebody differently just because the skin color isn't okay. And I feel like a lot of our staff understand that. So they treat us as if it's not a skin color, we're just human beings. So a lot of times I just feel like our school is very inclusive and we have a lot of different races and stuff, and it doesn't feel like you're an outsider even though I'm black. And there's stereotypes with the way people think about black women, but I don't feel like that going into my school. I don't feel like I'm stereotyped coming into my school. It just feels like a welcoming building where everybody's who they are.
I want to piggyback off of what she said. I actually was in a radio 101 class last year, and I did a story on the diversities and the differences in schools. And I don't think y'all understand how hard it was for me to truly do that story, because Reynolds is a very diverse school. I'm gonna speak on my experiences there because I don't know how other students feel there. But me personally, it is a very diverse and it's a very open school. We have more than 20 clubs that you can join. There's so many different things that you can get into. There's so many different things that you can do. And like, again, off of administration and our principals and our SROs and anybody up there, they are very inclusive and opening to anybody walking in the door. It don't matter what you look like. It don't matter what language you speak in. It don't matter what you got going on outside of that school building. When you walk in that school building, it's like I feel like, me personally, I feel like I'm at home. I love my school. I read my school today. I can't no more. And it's just like, yes, we do have our flaws. And yes, we do have in certain situations, in certain scenarios where it's not as inclusive and it's not as opening and it's not as welcoming, or at least it doesn't feel like that. But I'm the type of person that I don't really speak for myself when I speak on a lot of situations. I speak for the people around me. Because if y'all can't tell, I'm a very vocal person. So I kind of try to speak up for my friends or for my peers. And my principal would tell you how many times I was in his office last year about any problem or any situation or anything I felt like was wrong or not going right. And everything can be fixed at a snap of a finger. Everything is not up to teachers. Everything is not up to administration, because at the end of the day, we are students. We live amongst each other. So it's like there's only so much that a teacher or administration or a principal or an adult in the building can do. It is really up to us to include each other, to be welcoming to each other. They give us the blueprint. Now it's our choice to build. And if you don't decide to build, that's kind of like a personal thing. Like I said, my school is very open, it's very diverse. Like she said, we do have certain groups of students, certain teams that are predominantly one color, but we would never prevent anybody from trying out or from being on a different team. Like, I'm in the school color guard. Our whole color guard is black. We got one white girl, Scarlett, all love to her. But we don't stop no white people from joining the team. Our dancing boots, they all white, but they'll never stop a black person from trying out on the team. So it's just like, you gotta be open-minded when it comes to the diversity or the outlook on your school, and look at the opportunities that they are giving you to reach out and to join or to be a part of something different.
Powerful. Can you move the mic on down to the road to the end right here, please?
Oh, okay. Like I said, I go to Reagan. I love Reagan so much. Okay, before I talk about this, I love Reagan. But we do know that Reagan is in Poptown, Bethania, okay. It's not the teachers, it's not the counselors, it's not the principal. I love you, Mr. Royal. They're very accepting and inclusive. It's very comfortable, being there, the school spirit, it's perfect. I love Reagan. But obviously, in a rural, conservative, part of town, that is a dominant, group of students that go to Reagan. And it's still very diverse. There's all different types of groups of people, but there is a dominant crowd that I personally do not agree with. And I'm sure you guys have seen stuff on social media maybe, but I've seen some things I don't agree with, especially in that group, but those students do come from that part of town. And I do think that some of the students, there is a big issue with the extreme, definitely on the student side. Nothing about the faculty though. The faculty is amazing, but yeah, I do think I have experienced some discrimination or from students at Reagan, but I love the faculty. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What are race relations like on your high school campus?
Okay, well, being that Parkland consists of two major racial groups, being African American and Hispanics, I feel like there's a huge racial divide because of when I walk these hallways, you could literally see everybody has their cliques, who they hang out with. The Hispanics, they're to themselves, but they're deep. They're a big group of this student population. And then the African Americans here, yeah, they may have some Hispanic friends, but I feel we don't have the same cultural backgrounds, we wasn't raised the same way. They feel they can't intertwine what they know together and come together. So I feel that also shows in our school spirit with how you can see the African Americans are more outgoing, but the Hispanics are more to themselves because they aren't familiar with the African American community and feeling comfortable or at least accepted to an extent to where they feel oh yeah, we can have an open line of communication and work together instead of being this big, we're one school, but it feels we have two different schools with the racial segregation. And I feel that's a huge problem because that also goes to show in many areas such as our clubs, our sports, in every aspect of the school, you could see the racial divide. And I feel that's a huge problem. So I feel it needs to be changed.
You do one more response.
And can I also piggyback off of that? So I also go to Parkland. And even though this is race, I'm also going to get into the gender of the diversity of this question, because at Parkland, we don't really have a lot of boy representatives or males that like to stand up for what is right and want to really get their voices out there. Right now, we only have two homecoming male representatives. I am one of, and and so I just feel we our principal, Ms. Keener. Yes, she is so awesome in bringing people. She's really changed Parkland a lot, and I really love that about her. I just feel we just have to be more inclusive about everybody's groups and cliques, like she said, and just really warm up to other people and get to really come to be a proud Mustang.
One huge thing I don't agree with at Reagan is I feel okay, it's very diverse and we have all these different types of minority groups, but I do see minority groups discriminating against other minority groups. And it doesn't make sense to me, because how could you yourself like be a minority and then go and discriminate another minority? Like, I mean, like, especially with like sexuality and like, you know, race and all that stuff. Like, I mean, I've had like other black students like make fun of me or like say like nasty things about me, like because of my sexuality, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we don't know how to be like inclusive of everybody. Like, we just choose to like make our own little groups. But yeah.
Awesome. We're going to move on to our next question now. This one is, how many of you have experienced racism?
Can you ask this question again?
How many of you have experienced racism?
Well, me being a biracial child, my mom is white, my dad's black. I feel like I've seen the division in like growing up of how like, oh, like someone on the panel said, oh, you're too black or you're too white to hang out with us. But it's really just like growing up, you just have to grow up. You can't just be a child. Like one time I went into this Family Dollar right here, and the worker was just following me around. It was me and my cousin and my brother, and she was just following me around, and I was really confused, like, why is she just following? I went to another aisle, she was right there. I was just like, hello, like, but like growing up, you just realize like not everyone has grown up. So you really have to not just like, well, hold up. You can't just expect the world to change, but always try to make the change to see the world be a better place.
Hi again. I go to Reagan, but technically I'm at Career Center all day, so I interact with like both Reagan students and students from a lot of other schools. And I guess this isn't like an overt form of racism, but one thing I've noticed is that a lot of people have like exceptions. Like they'll have a black friend if they're like well-spoken or like whitewashed. And I think people use those terms a lot, and that's like a super common form of like division, because personally I haven't noticed like super like crazy racism. Like I've never been walking through the halls and heard like someone's calling someone a slur randomly, although I'm sure it's happened at some point. But I do think that people pick and choose who they accept, and in a way, I think that's just as harmful, because when people make exceptions based on like their opinion of like what an educated person is or what a respectful person is, I think it's based in racist ideology. So, yeah.
You know, racism has been part of our society for a long time. How I see it is, it's never really gonna go away, but you can also kill it with kindness, sort of. I'm not gonna go too deep, but yeah.
I luckily have never haven't experienced racism myself that much, really. There's been like a few times I've been like stereotyped, like, you know, one time they was doing this funny little game like 2 truths, 1 lie, and one of the like lies was, one of the truths like one of the lies were like one brother, I have one brother, and someone in the back of the class was like, nah, he's Hispanic, he has like tons of like siblings. I was like, damn. It's kind of, I was like, oh no, I don't know, this is like stereotype, but I don't want to like assume much, but there's one bus driver just hated me and my friend, just only us specifically, cause me and him were just like walking in the morning in the bus, and then we just talked, and then she just told us to shut up because we were being too loud apparently, but people in the back were just yelling at the back, like yelling louder than us, just playing like loud music and stuff, and they were just being more disrespectful to the bus driver than I was, or my friend right there. We weren't even being like disrespectful, we were just talking, just a normal conversation. And another time was when my friend didn't say good morning to her. She just grabbed his hand, just forcefully for no reason. And I don't know, just even I didn't even say good morning to her because I didn't like her that much. She was just rude. But yeah, I don't know if it is racism or something, but it was only targeted to us, me and my friend only, so.
Hi, my name is Esley. I experienced racism when I was in third grade. I had just got from Mexico, right? And I had like really short hair, like Dora, and I was, and it was this group of white girls that were like skinny, blonde, long hair, and they would always pick on me because I didn't know how to read or write. And it was this one time, I think it was in recess, and we had got lunch outside. And I don't know what they were playing, and they were like, oh my gosh, Esley has the Dora cut. And I was like, what? But at that point, I cried because I was like, wow, that's really mean. And then one of my teachers talked to me, and she was like, she was my ESL teacher, and she was like, don't let them bring you down, Esley. Even though Dora is pretty and she's famous, just tell them that. And since that, like, that day that they told me that, it broke my heart because I was like, wow, it really hurt me. But I just got used to it. And then coming in 5th grade, I started like learning English and like knowing how to write it and speak it. It was this one time, it was the same girl from 3rd grade. She was like, oh, so you finally know English. And I just like, I was just pissed at her, and I just started cussing her out. I'm sorry, but I was just, like, everything she made me go through, like 3rd grade through 4th grade, it was really hard. And she was just, and then I remember this one time, it was in the bathroom, she was like, I don't like you because you're Mexican and you look like Dora. And I was like, okay. So that day in 5th grade, when she went up to me and she was like, oh, so you know English now? I just snapped and I went a little crazy, but it's okay. I didn't do nothing to her, but yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and go on to the next question. Moving forward, if you want to get the mic, just pop your hand up real quick. The people can see, because sometimes we're not gonna be able to get everybody to talk if we're handing it down one by one. So the people that raise their hand first, you go ahead and say your piece, and we'll move on that way. So with the next question, have you ever assumed something about someone because of the color of their skin?
I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead, baby.
Let's keep it civil now.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Ooh, I have struggled with this a lot more than I would like to admit. If y'all don't know what school I go to, y'all do. And I'm sure y'all have heard about Reynolds and the way some of our minorities and our students of color act up there. And I hate to be the type of person that judges anybody, because who am I? But it's a lot of things that students do in my school that just kind of fit into the stereotype of black people. And that don't mean you dumb, or that don't mean you stupid, or that don't mean nothing like that. But I've been guilty so many times of judging students at my school based off of what I've seen once or twice. Like, I don't know him, I ain't never talked to him, I don't know where you came from or where you going, but I know what you showed this one particular time. And that just, from that point forward, I just had this idea of you. And I hate that I do that to some people, because I hate when people do that to me. Like, administration or teachers at my school sometimes will like have an idea of me because I'm the loud girl, and then I know everybody. Like, I'm social, I know all the administration, I know more than half of the students. I literally know everybody. That's not a joke. And so I feel like a lot of people have this idea of me because they think they know where I'm going or where I came from, and they don't. And so every time I break down my life story, which I hate doing, by the way, because I feel like, who are you to tell me what I'm doing is wrong when you don't know me? I just got into it with a guest speaker that came to our school last week. Principal, no. And then, but like I said, I've been guilty of judging people, like people of my race, personally, I would say, black males specifically, me personally, I just be like, why do y'all like do the things that y'all do? Why do y'all act the way y'all act? But then at the same time, I'll be like, what do these boys go home to? How do these boys live? And I just be feeling for people sometimes, but it'd be like, at the end of the day, you have to have a mindset to want to get out of where you are. And you have to have the willpower to get out of where you are. So yes, I do to this day. I just did it today, actually, this morning, principal day. Judge somebody because of the way he was acting, the way that he was speaking to administration, not understanding his frustration or his anger. I just knew what I seen, and I knew that the way that he was speaking or the way that he was talking or the way that he was doing things to administration, I didn't agree with. So I spoke up and said something about it, but I am 110% guilty of judging. I think it's mainly my race, though. That's the problem, of my race, on the way they act or the way they do things or the way that kids my age and kids I see and the people I hang around, the way they carry themselves. Because it always kind of blows me on how y'all want so much. I want to say black people at my school. How y'all want so much from administration, or y'all want so much from this, that, or the third, but y'all aren't willing to put in the effort to meet them halfway. So I'm 110% guilty of judging or stereotyping or putting the people at my school into a group, and I know I shouldn't, but I mean, hey.
Right. Thank you for your answer. Right here.
Can you repeat the question?
Have you ever assumed something about someone because of the color of their skin?
I think like oftentimes I just listen to when people talk, and I feel like they don't directly like to stereotype people because they know how people react to stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of people at our school just acts on how people stereotype them. Like she was like piggybacking on what she was saying, like for example, like the black kids, they act the stereotype people put on them. So it's hard to defend that when it comes to someone saying something. So it's like, I don't agree with them, but at the same time, it's like, I can't really defend them if that's how they act or that's what they show. And if you have the white kids acting preppy, as people say, then you can't really do nothing about it when it comes down to defending your race or black people or white people or Hispanics or anything. It's like, they kind of show it. So it's like, you can't say anything.
All right. Anybody down here have something? All right.
So I had to comment on what she said, right, about how the African-American male community, how they like to act a certain way just because they are around each other, right? I mean, coming from my perspective, I just feel like you should want more out of what you see your friends doing, right? Like, you gotta wanna have a better education. You don't wanna live, within, low-income neighborhoods, and just be better. Like, that's all I gotta say.
To me, there's been like a few times I only assume someone based on the colors only to my race, but I learned to like not assume, because if I assume, then it's not true. That's what I learned. I always be like, well, especially to the males, like they're like Edgars, on all over social media. Everyone's saying Edgars and stuff, but I learned to like not assume. They're probably like a nice person, just that their haircut is just based off of that.
All right, we can move on here.
Do you discuss issues of race or ethnicity at your school? And remember, if you have something to say, please raise your hand so we can make sure we get the mic to as many people as we can, okay? Do you discuss issues of race or ethnicity at your school?
Okay, hi. My family, we're Albanian immigrants, and like ever since I was little, like I've like been constantly like made fun of for like the way we talk, or like how my parents can't speak English, or like people would say like we're about to get deported, or like all this stuff, like just stupid things like all the time. But like as I've grown up, like now in my school, like, and I tell people, like, they're always like, what are you? Like, are you brown? Are you white? Like, what are you? And I'm like, I'm Albanian, and nobody knows what that is for some reason. Like, where is the education at? Like, nobody knows. And it's like so annoying, constantly like trying to explain what that is. And it is white. We are immigrants from like the Balkan region, like, and people still like to make comments and like judge me based on like having like tanner complexion, you know, but I definitely do feel like I try to talk with like other students, like educating them that Albania is a country and it does exist. Yeah.
I think that a lot of people, especially now, like if something happens, like if someone's racist or someone says something problematic, like it gets spread around like pretty fast. So I think that a lot of people have conversations about like when something racist happens or when something problematic happens. But I think the conversation around like how to fix that or how to talk to people who do that sort of thing could probably use some work. Like I've heard rumors of people like saying like the N-word or saying something else, but I don't ever hear like people confront people who are racist like around them. Like if someone says something that's like a little bit stereotypical or maybe discriminatory, like they just brush it off, but then when it's not directly at them, it's like a bigger conversation. So I think people do tend to talk about those sorts of things, but I feel like there's not much accountability, if you know what I mean.
I think that so far I've only been at the middle college for a month, but compared to the school that I transferred from, it's very different because I would walk around the halls and I would hear a slur like everywhere I went, but I'm not that social of a person, so I guess I can't really say much, but my school does have clubs where we're united like through other cultures and learning other cultures and languages from other cultures to be more accepting. But I feel like we would probably discuss it if anything bad happened.
Anyone else? No, okay, y'all good? All right.
All right. Our next question will be, what are some barriers that keep students from making friendships across racial lines? Down there.
Again, I feel like at my school, Parkland, there's like cliques. So like once like you find your people, really you don't like go in or out of that box. So it's like really a barrier for like knowing people and like getting in depth with them. It's really hard to start over and like find new people. So I would feel like maybe it's like being a comfortable thing. So like we're friends, but like meeting new people, it's like starting over and not, it's like feels weird to like do that.
Piggybacking off of what he said, I feel like here at Parkland, everybody is so caught up in like what they were used to and like what they were taught growing up, where they're not as open-minded as they should be about when it comes to meeting new people. Because when you go out into the real world, you're going to meet various amounts of people with many different backgrounds. So you can't just be, oh, I'm used to hanging out with my black friends, we doing this weekend. Like, you can't do that. Like, I feel like here at Parkland, like, everybody is so caught up with like, I don't like her, she's black, like, it's not, nobody's like really open-minded about their diversity and like how it's gonna affect them when they go in the real world. Cause you can't stay with what you're used to. Like, you have to make a change somewhere. So it's good that you have to start here. So I would say that.
Can you repeat the question one more time? Yes. It is, what are some barriers that keep students from making friendships across racial lines?
Okay, so for me, I have like a few white friends, and when people see me with them, it's kind of like, whoa, she's with a white girl, or whoa, she's hanging out with a white boy. So then I feel like most people try not to hang out with, or like isolate themselves from hanging out with other races so they're not judged. Because if you have like a group of black boys and they see a white boy hanging out with them, they're gonna think, oh, he's trying to be black. So it's like, I guess it's like stereotypes of people. Like, it's hard to be friends with other races without someone picking on you or trying to bully you just because you want to hang out with different people, different type of people. So it's like people isolate themselves to hang out with their same people so that they don't have to deal with it. So they don't have to, like, for her, for example, when I met her, she just had white friends. And a lot of people would like, oh, she has black friends now. But it would be like, why do y'all like categorize her based on just because she's used to hanging out with white girls or you're used to seeing her with these type of people? I just feel like it isn't fair. So people oftentimes just don't feel comfortable hanging out with other people without feeling judged.
There really are no barriers or boundaries or anything like that. Just people are just afraid of what people think when they're hanging out with someone different than them, or like someone like what a black person with a white person, or black with an Hispanic, or like Asian or anything like that. They're just worried about what people think. Just that's why people just don't want to talk to people with someone with different color than them, because of that reason.
Thank you. Danny?
I'm Julian I go to middle college. I'm a junior, and I kind of agree with him. Like at my school, I feel like there's really no racial barriers from stopping you from making friends with anybody. Like you can hang out with whoever. Like you can be friends with whoever you're friends with. Like it doesn't matter. The only thing I feel like that stops you from like making friends with people is yourself, because you gotta put yourself out there. Like if you're not willing to talk to people and put yourself out there to make friends, like you're not gonna make friends. So you kind of just gotta like, you can't be scared to if like somebody like you talk and like somebody laughs at you or something, and like they don't want to like be friends with you. You just gotta do it. You can't be scared, because then you never know. You're never gonna make that friend. And yeah, I feel like the only thing that stops you from making friends with whoever is yourself. So.
Thank you. Is that everybody? All right, on to the next question.
Do you feel like your school environment has adequately prepared you to deal with a diverse world? Right down here.
For me personally, won't speak for everybody at my school. For me personally, yes. Like she said, I'm friends with a lot of white people or a lot of black people, but that's opened so many doors for me to have opportunity. After I graduate high school, I'm going into the Navy. I got that from talking to different races and different groups of people. I wrote poetry, which I never do. That's not like something I do. I entered a competition. I won out of half the people in my school. Didn't win the whole competition, but I made it somewhere while doing that. I'm running for student body president right now, which is not something that most people of my color would do. Like, I feel like when you talk to different people and when you open your mind to have opportunity, it opens so many doors and so many back ways and closets that you wouldn't even realize were there for you. So get out of your comfort zone, talk to new people, meet new people, and understand the opportunities that are actually that are sitting right in front of you, and understand how many people are willing to help you and willing to put in work and effort for you to get to where you are. You just gotta pay attention and be open about stuff.
So for me, I feel like my school, they give you so many opportunities to find out what you want to do with yourself. Because when I started just in August, I didn't have no idea of what I wanted to do once I graduated. But they gave me the opportunity to talk to different people and let me know just because I'm a black female doesn't mean that I can't get the same job opportunity that a white female could get. So it's like, what my plan is, I plan to go to Central and become a preschool teacher. And like some people were telling me, like, oh, you're a black female, you're loud, you're this, you're that. Kids are not gonna listen to you. But it's like, I'm not that type of person. That's not the type of girl I am. I know who I am, and I feel like I took the steps in high school, took the classes that I needed to be able to get to where I wanna go. So I feel like my school set me up with the right people to help me understand my career path, what I wanted to do with myself. And I feel like now I'm going into the world where there's gonna be, working into a school, there's gonna be different races and stuff. And I feel like they set me up to understand that there's gonna be different situations, different people, different type of backgrounds that I feel like I could deal with.
Thank you. Right here, you? Okay.
I feel like my school, they focus more on the people who are born here basically, and the people like me, like I don't have papers or anything, and I want to go to college when I graduate. And I remember last year, I came to my counselor and I was asking her about college, and she was like, oh, like what do you want to do, this and that. And I was like, I want to go to Forsyth Tech and do something there, a career or something. And she was like, oh yeah, it's good. And then I was like, but I don't have papers. And then she was like, oh, like I can't help you with that. And after that, nothing. So this year I actually talked to somebody else, and they will be like, no, we can't help you with that, we can't do this or that, just because I didn't have papers. And I feel like that should not stop anyone. Like if you're black or Hispanic or white, it shouldn't stop you from getting your education and getting what you want. And it really gets me mad because they don't focus on the Hispanics who don't have papers, and only focus on the people who were basically born here, and they give the opportunities to those people, knowing that as me as a Mexican, I feel like we should have the same opportunities as other races have. And yeah.
Thank you. Down there on the end, she raised her hand.
I feel that here at Parkland, like they are trying their best to like help with the diversity. Like we are currently celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and I feel like they're trying their best to educate us, but I feel like also it's the student body who's like kind of like scared, if you will, like to break the barrier of like what they're used to and like the stereotypes. So I feel like, yes, like Parkland is doing their job when it comes to it, but also I feel like the students are like really doing their part with meeting the faculty halfway. So I feel like that's a very big deal when trying to change, oh guys, like let's intertwine, let's become as one. Like it really comes down to like everybody meeting each other halfway, and actually wanting to educate themselves on the diverse that they will need to go into the world.
Down here all the way on the end. This is my favorite part.
Okay, so at my school, I feel like they always gonna help you, like no matter the race, where you come from, they still gonna help you, and you get to know like people from everywhere, and it's kind of that's good because like you get to know their culture, yeah, and like get to know them and everything, and they're like there's always gonna be new people to meet and get to know them.
That's it. Thank you. We'll go ahead and if we're ready, we can go ahead and move on to the next question. Unless, did you want to add something? Or? No? Okay.
I just want to say y'all doing so good. Y'all giving some good answers. I'm proud of y'all. Okay. Do race relations affect classroom behavior and or academic achievements for as a student or as a school body? Do race relations affect classroom behavior and or academic achievements as both as a student or as a student body?
Okay, I feel that race relations definitely affect how far people will push themselves because they are so used to a certain stereotype, such as like, oh, like I have to make it out the hood, or like they're used to like what their parents before them have done. So I feel like race relations in the classroom is very huge, especially me. Like, I'm a very high achieving scholar. Like, I try to do my best because I know I'm not gonna conform to the stereotypes of what those in society want me to be or call me to be. So I try my best to like push myself because I know there's many opportunities and I can't limit myself, especially if I don't try in the classroom. Like, to me, I feel like everything starts in a classroom. So if you don't go out and achieve what you want to achieve, you're going to be stuck. Like, I try so hard to like not be what people say, oh, she's a black girl, like she's loud, like she's this, she's that. I really try my best to push myself because I am not what others call me to be.
I feel like when it comes to like AP classes and honor classes, our school, like for my freshman year, I feel like everybody thought the honors classes were for white kids, so nobody wanted to be in honors classes. But now in my senior year, it's like you go into an honors class and you see a whole bunch of different black kids, Hispanic kids, any races of kids, and it feels like different because it's like I can be a black girl and be in an honors class and not feel like, oh, she's trying to be too smart. She's trying to be this. She's trying to be that. And that goes for AP classes too. Like, you'll go to your counselor and she'll like push you to try to be in an AP class or something like that, and not feel like that's only for white kids or that's only for nerds or whatever. Like, you can be anything and still be in those type of classes. I just feel like my school do a great job at pushing us to be in higher standard classes and not just doing the bare minimum of what we feel like we could do.
Thank you. Due to time constraints, we'll have to go on to our last question. Where do you think this city/country is on the journey to reaching racial equity, and what more can we do to improve racial relations in our communities? Down there.
About like improving like racial relations in our community, like I said about Reagan, like the population there comes from like a rural, like conservative area, and I feel like the way that like a large population of that school like acts and like what they say about like minority groups, it is like rooted from what they learn at home and like their parents and their family. And I don't think that like some people are like, I think we can push like each other more to like branch out and outside of our household and what we learn at home and from our parents, and like become our own like people, like especially in high school. Like, this is the time for us to become like who we are like outside of our household. So I think that's a big part of how we act and what we say.
The question is, where do you think the city/country is on the journey to reaching racial equity, and what more can we do to improve race relations in our communities?
I feel that as of right now, like our community is doing a very good job as they're breaking the barriers and changing like what the past generations have done. So I feel like what we can do to improve is to continue to be outspoken, talk about the problems that's going around, not just in our community, but as this country and as the world as a whole. So I feel like altogether, like we just have to be very outspoken and very open-minded of what exactly we are doing and who's influencing us as we influence the next generation after us. So I would say really to break the barriers and to not do what your ancestors before you have done. Never be afraid of change.
So my 5th grade teacher taught me, if you want to have a beautiful apple tree, plant the seed correctly. So growing up, I always learned that you can't always force somebody to be, you can't always force somebody to treat you how you want to be treated if you don't treat them that way. So I've always like tried my best to treat people how I want to be treated and just put positivity into the world. And really noticing like from the panel of all the great answers, I've noticed like it's all like school and background, and so really just starting young in the classrooms, the teachers, the environment that we're growing up in, we just really have to be positive in what we do and not just putting all the hate and the bad stuff and all that on young people, because they are growing up to be the new generation of what we have in this world. So to change the world as the diverse and the race that we want to, we also have to teach the little ones and to teach the new generations how to do better and be better for the world if we want to make a change.
Just to preface this by saying, I think that people are definitely becoming more aware of race relations and trying to be more accommodating of like other people's voices and give people opportunities to express themselves. But kind of to build off of that, I think that we should encourage like our peers and the people around us to, you know, kind of be the change, that quote. But I think it's really important, like, you're conscious of what you're putting out there and what you're saying you're okay with. Like, I don't think it's okay to be discriminatory to other minorities, like she said earlier, and then expect everyone to treat you the way you want to be treated. So I think it definitely takes like kind of a higher standing. Like, you just have to realize that not everyone will be as great as you want them to be, not everyone will be as understanding as you want them to be, but I do think that people can change, and I think it would be really helpful if more people spoke about what they expected from the people around them. Like, just because someone's your friend or just because someone's been in school with you since elementary school doesn't mean that like they can get away with whatever. And I think you should hold your teachers, you should hold faculty all together, you should hold your peers, you should hold your siblings, your teammates, all sorts of people to the standard that you want to see more of. So,
Thank you. Take one more down here.
I truly do feel like a lot of things start in the classroom. I feel like I'm about to cry, so just vibe. I feel like with what we're teaching and what we're learning and what our children or students, even at this age now, what are we truly learning in school right now that are gonna help us when we get into the real world? What history are we really learning right now that is gonna help us when we get into the real world? What are y'all feeding children nowadays? Because I know a lot of kids in my class aren't gonna reach out to learn more. They're learning what they're given. So like, I can say my history teachers have went more into this. I can say I've learned about Harriet Tubman since I was in 3rd grade. That is Harriet Tubman and Martin Luther King are the only things I ever talked about during Black History Month. I never even knew Hispanic Heritage Month was a thing until I got to my school and we finally started celebrating it. I think last year, that was the first time I ever heard about it and I ever learned about Hispanic heritage. Or even like Ladiana was saying down there, I don't know where she's from. I don't know anything about her, and I feel like that sucks because I feel like we as students aren't getting taught the curriculum that we deserve and that we need. I don't need to keep hearing about Thomas Jefferson. I don't need to keep hearing about who first came to America, who first did this, who first did that. Y'all need to break down and get into education the way that we deserve to be taught. And I feel like that's another reason why a lot of these kids don't go to class and they don't go to school and their attendance is bad and nobody really pays attention or listens because y'all aren't giving us knowledge that we really know. You'll be surprised at how many kids, I'm 17 years old, and you'll be surprised at how many kids my age don't know how to count money or don't know how to write a check or don't know basic things that you should know. Half the kids my age don't know how to write cursive. I learned how to write cursive in 2nd grade. I learned that in elementary school. But I feel for people because everybody doesn't have that foundation. And I feel like the world, as bad as we won't change, it's not coming. And I feel like that truly does start at school, and that starts also at home. I feel like everybody don't have opportunity and access, and I hate it because I know at this age now, I see people that I grew up with dying or going to jail. Or stuff happening to kids my age now that I feel like could be prevented, or I feel like could be monitored or slowed down if only we took time
Take your time.
If we took time and put the effort into the kids around us, like I see a lot of black kids at my school who I feel like get given up on because they don't have the mindset or they don't have the opportunity to do better for themselves. And there's nobody there to help them or to guide them. And I feel like that starts at home and that starts at school, because at the end of the day, when I leave school, I go home and I go to the real world. And I go to work and I go to teams and I go to different events. And I feel like no matter what's going on in the school building, when we all leave this building, we all going home to something different. We all going home to a different struggle, no matter what age we are. We all going home to experience something. So I feel like when people come to school, that needs to be the time and the place where kids get what they need. Kids learn things that they need. Kids get an understanding of what's really finna go on when they hit the real world. And I feel like that's another reason why so many of our minorities, like she said, she wanted to go to college, and they told her there was nothing that it can do for her. There is something you can do for her. You're just not willing to do that for her. And I hate that, because I feel like everybody deserves an opportunity to be something or to go somewhere. And it starts in the schools. It starts with the curriculum. It starts with the teachers. It starts with administration and how kids feel and how kids are taught and how kids understand what's going on around them. And I just wish that there was something more that I could do now, but I know that it's not much that I can do myself. And I just hate that. So, as for your question, what can we change? Sorry. Curriculum. I feel like what we're learning and what kids are being taught at school, and because like I said, you can't really control things that kids have going on at home as much as you want to, but I just wish curriculum-wise that kids would have more opportunities and they wouldn't be given up on because they don't have the mindset or they don't have the mental or the capacity to reach out for something new. Thank y'all.
Thank you. This concludes our panel discussion. I would first like to add, what you guys are doing here is so powerful, and it is making active change. And with that, Erica.
So I am going to call up Ms. Carrie Wiggins. She is the chair of the Student Human Relations Committee. So a lot of the things that we do involving young people, this lady right here is the driving force behind it. And so I'm gonna let her say a few things, and I will say this, a couple of housekeeping things, and I'll let her talk and we'll be done. We need a group picture with panelists and Yak together, and I also need to make sure that if you guys did not sign in, panelists, Yak, anybody else, I need you to sign in, okay? Before you leave, thank you.
Well, good evening. Good evening. First, can we just give them a round of applause, please? I'm gonna stand behind them. Because these young people poured out their hearts, right? And as adults, you know, oftentimes we get lost in the conversations. We get stifled by what we see and driven by what we think should be. But each year that we have this high school student race relation forum, I am empowered myself. I am humbled by the conversations, by the just their thought processes, right? I think, young lady, you summed up the entire forum, because you all said some wonderful, wonderful, thought-provoking statements. And as adults, we do not take that for granted. I think you said some of the things. We as adults need to be mindful of what we do feed our children, because they are. Whatever we give them, that's what they are. And so we need to listen to them, and more students need to hear from them and to be shared this information tonight. Some of the takeaways we heard was change. We have to change. We have to be better. Sometimes you have to put yourself out there to make new friends. That is true. Even as adults, we struggle with that at times. We should look at what's on the inside of a person, not their skin color. Open your mind to opportunities. Get out of your comfort zone. People will help you if you extend your hand. Have the courage to speak up and to speak out. Don't let limitations stop you from achieving. Push yourself not to be a stereotype that society wants you to be. And today we have so many stereotypes, so many labels, so many do's, so many don'ts. And it is hard for our young people to understand which way. We say stop, we say go, we say up, we say down, we say round, we say, they don't know. And to talk about curriculum, it is a good way to start. We have to make sure that we are able to understand what each and every young person stated here today. The young dreamers, keep dreaming, baby, because like she said, there are opportunities for you. Never let anyone stop you from achieving your goals and your dreams. Your dreams can become your reality. I'm here to tell you that it's true. A lot of people sitting in this room are here to tell you that it's true. Don't allow anyone to stop you. But most of all, don't you stop yourself. Continue to strive. Strive for excellence. Touch someone. Continue to impart someone some of the wisdom that you have. The wisdom on this panel tonight is it's just breathtaking to hear you speak and to be passionate about students that you've started to school with that may not graduate with you. To say that there's not enough male presence in your school, that you've observed these things walking in the halls of the different schools here in Forsyth County. Continue to strive for excellence, because I know that each and every one of you on this panel, you're going to reach your goals. You have yet to scratch the surface of your potential. You're just getting started. You're just learning who you are. You're just coming into the know of yourself. But oh my gosh, when you get there, what a better people we will be because of you. Don't stop believing. Don't stop dreaming, because we are depending on you. I am depending on you. My grandson started middle school this year, and I quaked in my boots. But I have faith. I have confidence after listening to you all tonight that he's going to be okay. So thank you for that. Before I close, I would like to recognize Commissioner Fred Thompson, if you would. Commissioner. And I would be remiss if I did not recognize the Human Relations staff, the Human Relations Department, DEI staff. If you would, just wave your hand. These are some people who work. They work in the community, they work on your behalf, and I am pleased, we are pleased and privileged to have the opportunity to work alongside of them. In the absence of Wanda Allen Abraha, the director of the Human Relations and DEI Department, and Robert Leak, our chair, and Melissa Thompson, our vice chair, my name is Carrie Wiggins, and I would like to thank you for your time, for your attention. I wish this room would have been filled so that everyone could walk away with something and stand up broad in our shoulders and move forward. But they will be able to watch it because it will be aired on the Winston-Salem, City of Winston-Salem's television, TV 13. Did I get that correct? All right. With that being said, thank you again for your attention. Thank you for your time. And young people, can we give them one more applause?